Welcome to this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. The types of business that occur at these meetings include public hearings, official voting on actions by the Board of Commissioners, presentations by departments of the county, and recognition of service that makes our county great. As your elected representatives, the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners is committed to improving the lives of all our residents while preparing county government to meet the demands of the future. In order to do that, we need to share our thoughts and plans with you. More importantly, we need you to share your thoughts, concerns, and opinions with us. We encourage you to come and experience the process by attending any of these meetings. They occur every first and third Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. at the St. Clair County Administration Building at 200 Grand River Avenue in Port Huron.
I'd like to call this meeting of the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners Human Services Committee to order. We have roll call, please, Chris.
Commissioner McConnell?
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Here.
Commissioner Bohm?
Here.
Commissioner Riley?
Here.
Commissioner Rushing? Commissioner Graytop?
Here.
Commissioner Tamian?
Here. Please rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First on our agenda, we have any additions or deletions or changes to the human service agenda. Mr. Kaufman, do we have anything?
Make a motion that we accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This is the time on our agenda where we hear from the public and citizens. Are there any citizens? Now, I should just be asking for human services
Correct.
items. So you do have one request tonight.
Yeah, I have one for Park and Rec.
Okay. So we'll call on you at that time. And I think I recognize everybody else out in the audience, and I don't believe that they want to speak under citizens to be heard. In terms of updates, I have one that I wanted to share with all of you just briefly. I brought to your attention the fact that the community is pursuing a 211 phone system here in St. Clair County, and we're one of the last counties in the state of Michigan to be working on implementing such a system. And I've been representing you on the study committee, and in March, the United Way of St. Clair County Board approved proceeding with the Northeast call center. We had two different proposals, one for Metro Detroit and one from mid-Michigan, essentially located in the city of Midland. On May 19th, the Northeast 211 Call Center Board approved entering into a memorandum of understanding with the United Way of St. Clair County for call services, center services. On May 20th, the St. Clair County Community Service Coordinating Body approved the United Way of St. Clair County proceeding with implementing 211 for our whole area. Now that most of the local approvals are in place, we now move on to state and federal approvals. Our expectation is that the entire process can take up to a year. I have a timeline that I can distribute to you later. And the Center in Midland is still finishing up the process of adding our county and one other. They've indicated that they have placed priority on finishing those counties at this time, which is understandable. We have also had great financial support toward this initiative. To date, the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, Atchison Ventures, and SEMCO have made contributions and/or pledges totaling approximately $100,000 to this project. This will be able to fund some of the startup cost as well as the incremental cost of the service for about six years. In addition, several other entities have also indicated that they're working on providing financial support. I'm going to continue to participate in this committee, and we'll keep you advised of further progress.
Sounds great.
Does anybody else have any updates on human service matters?
One comment I'd like to make, Mr. Chairman, is your involvement in that. I know you're doing a good job, and I'm glad you're on top of it, because I think it's a more than something that should have been done years ago, and I'm really, really glad you're on top of it.
Well, if it wasn't perhaps your influence on suggesting that I be appointed to the board instead of you,
Might add something to do with it.
by the leaders of SEMCO.
Got
but
your number, buddy.
Thank you. Next, conceptual initiatives. Do we have any? I don't believe we have any old business. Our first item of new business is the Unique Management Services library contract. Now, this item is for final action tonight, and I see Allison's in the audience. Allison, could you give us a brief overview?
Good evening, and thank you for taking some time to talk about this. The library system sends out overdue notices to patrons as a courtesy. We have a printer that uses special paper, special envelopes to do these notices. And we generally print out about 5 different types of notices, overdues, bills, that sort of thing. The printer that we use is called a tally machine, and we have been babying that machine for well over a decade now. It finally did die. The IT department has done a marvelous job keeping it alive for us, but several things came into play. The envelopes that we need to use for these special notices are no longer being produced. The drivers needed to connect the printer to our network are not available. Parts and ribbons for the printing no longer available. So we needed to really look at another option. And because we've had such a great relationship with Unique Management for our collections service, we've seen a 4-to-1 return on investment over the last decade using our collection service with Unique Management. We approached them about their module for printing of the overdue notices. Currently, with staff involvement in the machinery and the supplies necessary to do overdue notices, we're paying about $15,000 to $16,000 a year to produce notices for the patrons. Using this Unique Management service for printing the overdue notices, we will see a significant reduction in the cost, including staff time. Unfortunately, now that the machine has actually died and there's no resurrecting it, we are spending 3 times the amount of staff time producing overdue notices, folding them, getting them put into the mail and sent out to the patrons. In doing our analysis of the overdue notices, we are also looking at reducing from 5 notices down to 2 notices. So our postage costs will also reduce as we use the Unique Management service. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for Allison? Mr. Heidemann?
Do I understand you correctly that now they're going to do the mailing and everything and you're not? This
Correct.
is an additional service they're going to provide.
Yes, this is an additional service. What will happen is, in my calculations, there's a $1,200 cost for Circe Dynex, which is our circulation system. That amount Circe Dynex will write a code that will connect the overdue notice system to our circulation system, and then every night, those items that are overdue, or those patrons that have that have overdue fines, get uploaded into the system, and then Unique Management just prints out the letters or the overdue notices and mails those for us. So we no longer would have the cost of paper, ink, equipment, maintenance, staff time to take care of all of that.
Well, I'd like to congratulate you on this initiative. It's always a pleasure to have somebody come up and recommend something that results in a 44%
Yeah.
reduction in our annual cost of an activity. Now, if everybody could do that,
Yes.
we'd be in just wonderful financial shape. So thank you and your
Thank you.
staff.
Yeah, we're very excited at the release of staff time to do more creative things with their time. Yeah.
I would move that we approve the contract with Unique Management Services for the library for final action tonight.
I support that.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're spending money.
I'm spending money. Thank you. Mr. Heidemann? Chris?
Commissioner McConnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm,
Yes.
Commissioner Riley,
Yes.
Commissioner Greatap,
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other human services matters to come before us this evening? Under information only, we have the St. Clair County Health Department points of interest for May 2015.
Mr.
Chairman, I would move that we receive and file the St. Clair County Health Department points of interest, May 2015.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.
I,
Could I have a motion to receive and file packets?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we receive and file packets pertaining to the human services matters.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Motion to adjourn, sir.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did that in 10 minutes.
Huh?
Did that in 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Keep giving it back to it.
Okay, we'll call to order the Judiciary Public Safety Committee. Can I have roll call, please?
Commissioner McConnell,
Here.
Commissioner Tamian,
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Here.
Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing, Commissioner Greatap,
Here.
Commissioner Riley.
Here. Do we have any additions, deletions, changes to the agenda?
Make a motion that we accept the agenda as presented.
Second?
Moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, do we have any citizens to be heard? Okay, moving on, any updates? Conceptual initiatives? Nothing? Okay, old business? Under new business, we have item 8, 2016 Cooperative Reimbursement Program application from the prosecuting attorney.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that this item be forwarded to the full board, but on my iPad, two of the columns, on the left and on the right, they weren't completely legible, so I'd ask that we, for our formal board consideration, that we get a revised copy of that and perhaps a cover memo as well.
I would support your motion, and I would say the same thing. I couldn't read it all, and I would like a cover letter that kind of summarizes what this is all about. There was no cover letter indicating what this was.
I found it, between those two things, it was kind of hard to follow it, but,
Right.
I don't want to delay it.
Okay.
We're gonna move it on to the full board.
Yes.
So, yeah, and matter of fact, I spoke to Mr. Welling today, and that was an issue. So I just made a note, and I will speak to him again on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do I have a support? Did I have a support?
I did.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, item B, 2016 Mental Health Court Grant Program Application Proposed Budget.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we send this on to the full board.
Support.
Moved and support? Yes. Question?
No,
No.
we're looking.
Moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Item C, amended contract application, 2016 FLC Cooperative Reimbursement Program.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we forward this contract application to the full board.
Support?
Moved and supported. Any questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Any other
Yes.
public safety matters, public safety? Information only, amended child care fund budget approval.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the amended child care fund budget approval be received and filed.
Second?
Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Receive and file packets,
I would so move.
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
And move for adjournment.
Move for adjournment.
Support?
Moved and supported. Record? I do it. I'll probably get a prize. Here comes Dad.
That's where we slow it down now. That's where we slow it down.
I'll get some kind of prize.
Get to steer the boat to me.
I'd like to call the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting on Environmental and Public Works to order. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll?
Commissioner McConnell,
Here.
Commissioner Tamian,
Here.
Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Riley,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing, Commissioner Greatop,
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Here. At this time, are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Mr. Chair.
I think maybe we need to move, let me see if I've got this correct here. Under information only Parks and Rec Commissioner appointment, don't we need to move that up to item 7C so that we can take action and send it on to the full board?
Yes.
So I would make that adjustment.
I would second that.
Oh, okay.
So make 10C, 7C. If that makes sense. I think it does.
Give you a benefit of the doubt.
Thanks.
Okay, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So move.
And supported.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Citizens to be heard. We have Michael Benbus here with us regarding Park and Rec. I think he wants a job.
Non-paying job.
Hi, my name is Michael Bembus. I'm applying for the open position on the Parks and Rec Committee. I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I've lived in Algonac for the last 20 years. I'm on the Algonac City Council, and before that I was on the Algonac Downtown Development Authority. I'm employed by the United States Post Office. I've been here for 31 years. I am the postmaster of Algonac, but before then I was a postmaster of Royal Oak and postmaster of Taylor. I've also served in temporary details as what we call a POOM, Post Office Operation Manager, which covered most of southeast Michigan, including all of St. Clair County. So if you've had any problems with your mail delivery, maybe after the meeting you could see me. One of the reasons I went back to Algonac as postmaster was this time of my life, I felt it very important to serve my community and give something back for all the great years I've had living in St. Clair County and Algonac. That's why I contacted Mayor Byrd at the time about 3 or 4 years ago and was appointed to the DDA. On the DDA, we've done a few things like get picnic tables for our downtown park. We're looking at new lightings in our park, including some, we're looking at solar energy to maybe power some of our lights in our park in some creative, innovative ways. I've also been involved in the Algonac food pantry. In fact, working with the Lions Club, which I'm a part of, and the Historical Society, which I'm involved with, and the Post Office, We've collected, last year we had a record collection of over 6,000 pounds of food, which was almost double about 3 years ago of food that we've provided to the needy citizens of Algonac. So I'm asking at this time that you consider me for the position. Feel that I'm really dedicated. It's time to give back. And you have my letter, and if you have any questions, please ask.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
I assume that the update is from Matt for the landfill quarterly financial update.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm here to give you an update on the landfill finances and the bigger picture. As you all are aware, we've undertaken a lot of efforts in recent years to make our operation more efficient, and there's been a number of initiatives that the board has implemented to increase revenues. And so I'm going to cover all of that a little bit here briefly and kind of show you where we're at and where we're headed. We began looking at efficiencies at the landfill way back in 2005 when the bioreactor was developed and constructed. We did renegotiations of a number of different contractor and consultant agreements to achieve some expense reductions. We began to recycle leachate back in about 06, 07, which defrayed cost of processing and did some good things for the gas generation in the landfill, again back in that same time frame. And over time, we have internalized a number of different special waste processing functions that were previously done by our consulting firm that we're now doing internally. Back in that time frame, we took a hard look and did some business planning. We created a business plan for the landfill, looking at the long-range costs of closure, post-closure liability, and expansion, and making sure that we had a good path forward as far as where we were headed. To identify and reduce unexpected expenditures. And creating this plan allowed for a structured approach to financing necessary for equipment or other capital improvements that we needed to operate the facility. In 2011, the county contracted with two landfill industry experts to do an exhaustive review of the operations at the facility and review our engineering contracts and how we essentially did business. They reviewed every aspect of our operations and had a lot of recommendations, and we implemented pretty much all the changes that they did recommend. The two probably most notable changes that we made as a result of that was the hiring of an operations specialist to maintain our gas extraction system on the landfill in light of the fact that we were going to gas to energy. And a very aggressive renegotiation of our operations and maintenance contract with our contractor, Tulaski Excavating. So we did see and achieve some significant cost reductions through those efforts, and we have a much more efficient operation today as a result of that. At the same time, we're keeping an eye out on public policy, state policy, where we think things are headed and trending in the solid waste industry, and looking about ahead to the potential impact on our operation. Most notably, there is a move towards diverting a number of different types of waste away from the landfill. So we're looking at where that's going to take us in the future and trying to provide for that in the future. All these things were done, essentially we did internally to make sure our house was in order, if you will, that we were operating the landfill as efficiently as we could. After we implemented all of those changes, as a result of all of that review, we kind of took it back. We then reevaluated our dollars and cents, and we found that the efficiencies that we had implemented were helping. They were saving us money. I think we about $500,000 a year we've reduced our operating expenses as a result of things done by recommendation of the experts, by bringing our leachate pretreatment facility online. The cost of disposal has gone way down. The second bullet on here is federal and state policy and regulatory change. As I mentioned, we're keeping an eye on that. There's some talk in the DEQ of food waste diversion potentially, although that's not likely to happen soon. But what we've seen, and as I've shared with this board a number of times, I'm sure you're aware, is that for a long time our volumes trended down coming into the landfill from waste that we were generating from inside the county. And this has got to do primarily with not only the housing market crash in '07 that reduced the waste volumes coming into our facility, but a lot of industry and manufacturing in the county has now adopted corporately zero landfill policies. They're looking for other places to take their waste streams to be reused or recycled or otherwise disposed of than landfills. So we've seen that affect the amount of material we get in. And again, the landfill technology is evolving. There are a number of different processes and alternatives to landfilling coming up and managing solid waste disposal. We'll have to see where everything goes in the future. I think for the time being, landfills are here to stay. And we don't have to worry about that, but things are changing slowly. We've also are always looking at the necessary capital investments to operate and continue to expand the facility. So we've identified those and got together good cost estimates. And after we look at that whole package, we've seen that we still had a revenue to expenditure gap. We were making money and we had reduced our expenses, but the gap was still pretty close. So I came to the board in 2013 with a recommendation for a potential rate increase, and the board opted to take a very balanced approach to fixing our revenue versus expenses situation. And I credit the board for doing that. The balanced approach included increases in volumes by going out of county and securing Canadian waste streams to increase the volume and revenue coming in, and also opted to raise our rates, which hadn't been done since 1999. And I know that was a hard decision for the board, and a lot of consideration went into that with the impact to citizens and businesses in the county. Our commercial rates were increased by about an average of $5 per ton on January 1st, 2014, which made a significant impact. And this year on January 1st, residential waste tipping fees were raised by $6 a ton. But along with that effort, the BOC has held meetings with municipalities to discuss what we were doing, why we were doing it, and explain the situation. I give Commissioner Bohm a lot of credit for that communication.
I just want to interject one thing here. When you look at the residential rates, it's $6 a ton. Average household produces just over a ton of trash. So when you equate that, what that, and I don't want to underestimate that, yes, it was an increase, but it's about 50 cents per household increase per month. So that's putting it in lane.
The impact on your average household was pretty minimal.
Yeah.
Along with this, we've reached out to the municipalities in the county and suggested to them to contract directly with the county for landfill disposal. Traditionally, a lot of solid waste contracts, or all the solid waste contracts in the county, had the hauler who was responsible for collection also be responsible for the disposal fees. We have made the argument to a number of municipalities that by contracting with us directly for disposal fees, they can see significant savings in their solid waste budgets. And to date, we have 3 municipalities who are on direct bill, with a 4th to come online at the end of the year, and that's Rutland Township. So that program has been successful, and we're looking forward to more municipalities coming on board. So here's a simple bar graph showing volumes. 13, 14, and an estimate for what we're doing in 15. The blue is in-county waste, and the red represents out-of-county Canadian waste streams coming in. The block of Canadian in 2014 represents about 41,000 additional tons through the gate, and I'm anticipating in excess of 70,000 additional tons in 2015. If the contracts that we're working with now, we realize them to their fullest, we could be pushing significantly more than 70,000 tons this year. Yes, sir.
Just want to touch base too on the Canadian waste streams. Canadian waste streams, municipal waste contracts, highly organic, things that work very well in our bioreactor. We're not taking construction and demo material. So when you talk about waste, I just want to.
That is correct.
And it's not industrial waste either.
No, it's not. This is primarily residential waste and other organic wastes that are beneficial, as Jeff points out, to our bioreactor.
Gary made a good point. We're still way under historic volumes too, so it's not like we haven't been here before. Actually, we're still significantly down, so.
So how does this translate into operating revenues and expenses? We have 2 graphs here, and as you can see, our operating revenues, that's essentially for the most part taken care of by landfill tipping fees and our gas to energy revenue that we receive. You can see a nice upward trend there from 2013 to 2015. That's going quite well. Along with that, you can see the expense chart. We are spending a little bit more money than we have in previous years, but we're not at the rate that the revenues are coming in. So our gap between revenues and expenses appear to be approaching a healthy level. And that's important that we do have that gap. It's not that we're for profit, but we have other considerations at the landfill financially that we have to provide for, notably closure and post-closure liability costs, which are not included in these operating expenses. We have to provide for cell depletion and fixed asset depreciation like any business does. And we have to provide to be able to write the checks for future capital investments. So the changes that we've made so far show that we're trending in the right direction, we believe, and we're doing well. And a note about capital planning and expenditures. We just came out of a change order committee meeting for Cell 4. You know, it costs a lot to build out and maintain and operate the landfill. The existing investment capital right now is completing Cell 4 Phase 1. We actually completed the construction in April, and we'll be moving into that cell in June, later this month. Phase 2 of that construction we're anticipating doing in the summer of 2016, next year. Other investments, capital investments we'll be making in the near future are replacing our truck scale at the landfill this fall. And we're pretty much annually expanding our gas extraction system to supply our gas to energy plant and make sure our collection efficiency is maximized. So you can see the increased volumes have resulted in increase in revenues. And while the trend looks good, that's still under evaluation. We need to see where this takes us here in the rest of the year, more than likely. And it's one of those things that we're constantly looking at. Where are our expenses and liabilities in the future? What do we have coming in, and what do we anticipate coming in the future? So that's an ongoing evaluation. And with respect to future proposed rate adjustments, I guess the jury's out on that. We're going to be evaluating that, and I'll be proposing something to the board in the future as appropriate.
And I just want to touch too, and I hate, sorry for continuing to interrupt, but we had been in front of the municipalities and townships. I think we had 3 different occasions, had them out through a period of time, out to the landfill to go through all this information. So they're very familiar with rates, reasons why. We spent probably a good year and a half, if not longer, before we even did anything with the rates. So that PR piece with them has been done multiple times.
I'd like to add to that. I was reading The Voice this week, and I was catching up on a story that had to do with the city of Marysville budget. And they were talking about how they've been able to cut their solid waste cost enough so that their customers won't be feeling the water and sewer rate increase. They didn't happen to mention you and Jeff, Matt, but I think that's really great news, and I hope more of the municipalities take advantage of that program.
Frankly, I don't see a downside for communities who have solid waste contracts to go direct bill with us. I really don't see the downside.
Yeah, I
So
gotta give-
hopefully more
Just
come on board.
refresh my memory. What did the city of Marysville say?
Ooh, $70,000 kind. Their
I think it was
total
on
budget.
that order. There's
600. Everything that we've seen fairly consistent is roughly a 15% reduction. So the city of Marysville spends roughly $600,000 a year in their total trash pickup and stuff. So
75,000?
it's somewhere in that
On that
neighborhood.
order,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They had their increases, everything else. It's been very consistent. Cotcherville was the first one. 12 to 15% is what we're tracking. So.
Yeah, we've seen great success with those
When
contracts.
budgets are tight, they have to.
I wish they all would listen though, Howard, and that's another story. we
I didn't mean
put
to
it out
interrupt.
there.
Well, Clay Township came on earlier this year.
And the nice part is we can quantify everybody's previous, where they've been, and, you know, I mean, it's like anything, it's something new, it's introduced, you know, this is how we've done things in the past kind of stuff, and at least we have 4 people, and we have small examples, and, you know, we've got large examples now.
Well,
And the nice part is the county and Jim Logsdon, they handle all the specs, they write everything literally, you don't have to do a whole lot, you know, for the municipalities.
I guess what I see as the main advantage is, we've been on this board enough times to see where we've had to write off debt from haulers that have gone into bankruptcy. And then the next day, we see them operating, or at least I think we see them operating, under a different name, and we get stuck holding the bag for the waste that was put in the landfill that wasn't paid for.
10 years I've been on the board, 300,000, 180, and I think 115 is the other number. And
That's
for the,
$500,000.
that's, you know, in my
Trust me, I'm
tenure.
doing
And
my
yeah,
best to make
those
sure
and-
we don't take those
yeah.
big hits in the
Yeah.
future. Well, these are things that we've evaluated internally and are under evaluation. There are things outside of our control that potentially will impact the landfill operation moving forward in the future. Emissions regulations, the EPA has put into law now, or very soon will, new requirements for greenhouse gas emissions from landfills. More stringent requirements, higher collection efficiencies required. These requirements are going to be implemented for new landfills that are constructed or landfills that are expanded. Technically, that's not supposed to apply to everybody else. We'll see what happens over time, and if we're going to be hit with some stricter regulations on emissions, that will impact our expenses to some degree. RDDP rules, the EPA is looking at, as you're probably all aware, there is a sunset on our RDDPs, on our permits to operate our bioreactors on site. Currently, our initial...
For
Yes,
people that are watching, you might want to tell them what RDDP means.
RDDP is Research, Development, and Demonstration Project.
That's a bioreactor.
That's the bioreactor permit, exactly. There's currently a 12-year sunset on each piece of the bioreactor that we have. The Cell 3 was our first bioreactor. That will expire in 2017. We have gone to Washington. Commissioners have to lobby with the EPA to have that limit extended or lifted in its entirety. Yes, sir.
If I could just jump in real quick, just to tell you a quick story on how this thing works. Commissioner Heidemann and I went there, and you were there also, Matt, and we lobbied at the EPA. I think we went in at the right level, met the right people, and everything was looking good, and we got kind of a verbal approval that they were going to make the changes that we needed, and that was in 2011, I think. And when asked when that may take place, the answer was 2014, if they fast-tracked it, because government works slow. And it's now 2015, and it isn't quite there yet, if I'm correct.
The coal ash regs got in the way is what
Yeah.
the argument is.
So, we're still working on that sunset, 12-year sunset thing, so.
What we understand from the EPA, that they are going to lift the 12-year, and we'll see how that goes. But that's not in place yet, and as you know, the government moves slowly, so anything can happen or may not happen at all. So we'll have to monitor that. State recycling goals. Governor Snyder recently instituted a goal for the state of Michigan to double the amount of recycling that happens statewide from 15% to 30%. And Commissioner Bohm and Commissioner Heidemann were at the Governor's Summit with me last month, hearing the pitch on that. It's yet to see how that will impact waste coming into our facility. If recycling rates go up, obviously there's less waste that comes in the door. So we'll have to see how that goes. And of course, state energy policy goals, the state DEQ is kicking around the potential for other forms of waste diversion, maybe notably food wastes. Nothing isn't set and no plans are made right now, but those discussions are going on. So we'll have to see where those go moving forward. So these are the next step. We'll be continually looking at our business model and evaluating our operations, making sure we're planning appropriately for infrastructure for the future. We'll be adjusting those plans and rates and other investments that we make. We're going to continue to look at the policy and regulatory issues, and we'll be continuous reporting. I'll be back before the board before the end of the year for an update on this and let you know where we stand.
Okay. Any other questions for Matthew? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other updates regarding environmental public works matters from commissioners? Seeing none, any conceptual initiatives from administration? Old business. We have Resolution 1514, accepting the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund grant terms for the Blue Water River Walk in the amount of $18,400 from, and our share of that would be coming from Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, and our share of that would be $41,600 for the purchase of about 2.5 acres at the end of the river walk down here from
Howard, I talked to Mark earlier. This information was in front of us previously,
Yeah.
and they requested to do it for final action if
Okay.
possible this evening. So
Can we have a motion for final action?
I would make that motion.
Support. And supported by Commissioner McConnell. Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none? You want to take roll on that?
Commissioner McConnell?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Graytop?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes. We also have Resolution 1515, accepting the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund grant terms for the Bovier Bay property in the amount of $666,000, of which Park and Rec share would be $234,000, and that too for final action.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions or discussion? Hopefully that'll go through. You'll get your park bill.
Hey.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, excuse me.
Go, roll call.
Roll call.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Graytop?
Yes.
Commissioner McConnell?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes. Under new business, we have the County Master Recreation Plan update. And if I understand correctly, that's with Metropolitan Planning. and that, to update the master plan is not to exceed $17,800.
Make a motion, we send it on to the full board.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Graytop and supported by Commissioner Tomlin.
Mr. Chairman, I corresponded by email with Mark today, and my question was, when does this work have to be done? And it was March 1st, March 1 of 2016.
Yeah, and the thing that is, I think, important to understand is that we need to have that master plan updated and in place in order to qualify for Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund grants. And I'm just guessing, but I'm thinking since I've been on this board, which is going on 13 years, we've probably taken in, I might be conservative, $5-6 million, maybe more, from the Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund grant for our parks. So it's very important that we get this done. And I'm a little prejudiced, but I think our metropolitan planning does a fantastic job. But anyway, we need roll call on that too. All in favor, because it's going to the full board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. At this time, we have the Park and Rec QBS, which is a request for professional services results. I think all we need there is a report on it. And I'm going to look for you because you were...
Well, Mr. Chairman, first I owe our Parks and Recreation Chair an apology. I predicted to him, looking at the agenda, that we would be at this item by 6:30. I didn't anticipate Matt's report tonight, but I know that Jim's here tonight and would like, and perhaps Mark as well, talk a little bit about the process and we've been through and the recommendation that
Jim Beer is member of the Park and Rec Commission, and he headed up the chair of this committee. That's one of those jobs that you get paid the big bucks for.
Thank you, Howard. Commissioners, thank you for making some time for us to speak tonight. And yeah, it's a service with pleasure, I can say that. We all do enjoy it, those of us who have had the pleasure to serve. It was a long process. First of all, I want to thank the volunteers that participated in the QBS process. We learned a lot. I think we ended up with some very good results, but it was a lot of effort on all of our parts, and it's gratifying to see people step forward and do that. Mark had put a little summary together, and I think I'm just going to read from this and then answer any questions that you may have. But Purchasing Division had posted a request for proposal for professional services on the Michigan Improvement Trade Network website on January 23rd through 26th in 2015, soliciting statement of qualifications from landscape architecture, architectural and civil engineering firms interested in providing professional services for county parks and trails projects during the next 3 years. 45 firms submitted statement of qualifications by the February 28, 2015 deadline. 15 statements of qualification were received for each of the 3 disciplines. The QBS committee members each independently reviewed the statement of qualifications and then met on March 4th and 10th, 2015 to select 5 firms from each discipline to interview. 5 landscape architecture firms were interviewed on April 7th, 5 architecture firms were interviewed on April 15th, and lastly 5 civil engineering firms were interviewed on April 22nd. The consensus decisions of the committee is to recommend that the Parks and Recreation Commission and Board of Commissioners designate the following 3 firms for each of the 3 professional disciplines as the most qualified firms to submit proposals to the Parks and Recreation Commission for general parks and trails projects through 2018. For landscape architecture, Harley, Ellis, Devereaux, ECT, PMB, Smith Group, JJR, and Rowe Professional Services. For architectural services, we recommend H2A Architects, Partners in Architecture, and Psi Design. And for civil engineering, Project Control Engineering, Rowe Professional Services, and Tetra Tech. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Question from Commissioner Greatop.
You have Rowe Professional Services doing landscape architecture and architecture. You got them in there twice. They can do both?
That's correct. They offer the full range of services. A number of the firms did. When Mark said we had 15 in each category, a number of those were crossed over, some into 2, some into all 3 categories.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I think, if I understand correctly, we need a motion then to approve the recommendations of the
So moved.
QBS committee.
Or,
It's been moved and supported. We'll send this to the full board for final approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much.
I think you had more than one 4-hour session, if I remember. Okay, item number 7C, Park and Rec appointments. Appointment.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I recommend that we move the Park and Recreation Commission appointment to the full board.
Support.
Okay.
Support that.
Who? There were two.
There were two.
Move both
Both of them?
both applications to the full board.
We'll do a ballot perhaps,
Do a secret ballot?
do a ballot.
Not
Well, Not too
secret.
secret.
Well, a written ballot,
Semi-secret.
Semi-secret.
temporarily secret.
I support that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, it's been moved and supported by Commissioner Riley. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Smith Creek landfill report, I didn't see one. Any other environmental public works matters? I see none. Information only, I would entertain a motion to receive and file the Enbridge project update for 2015 and the Park and Rec financial documents.
I would so move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. At this time, a motion to receive and file packets regarding environmental public works.
So moved.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner McConnell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner McConnell,
Support.
second by Commissioner Riley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I don't have the gavel anymore. So we are adjourned.
We're gonna call the Ways and Means meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner McConnell,
Here.
Commissioner Tamian,
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Here.
Commissioner Riley,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing, Commissioner Greatop, Commissioner Bowe.
Here. Additions, deletions, changes to the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would like to add to the agenda, under new business 7G, the Board of Commissioners summer travel, and under H, the 2015 Michigan Blight Elimination Program application.
Support.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Citizens to be heard. Any citizens to be heard at this time? Item 4, updates. Any updates on Ways and Means, Commissioners? Item 5, conceptual initiatives. Under 4, no old business. Item 7A, item A, the chiller maintenance agreement.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we send this on to the full board.
Support.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item B, the employment agreement for the library director.
Mr. Chairman, I move that this item be forwarded to the full board.
Support.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Item C, the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs Capital Improvement Grant Program application.
Mr. Chairman, should we be asking for final approval on this?
You can.
I don't know what the deadline for the application is, that's why I'm asking.
The deadline for the application was actually June 1st, but your grant policy allows us to submit it with administrator controller approval and then bring it to you at the next available meeting.
You know,
We can do it.
I think you're right. I think I would move for final action.
Support.
Discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner McConnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Riley,
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe.
Yes. Item D, Resolution 15-16, approving the summer tax levy.
Chairman, I move we send that on to the full board.
Support.
Discussion?
Absolute must.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Guy wants his tax money over there.
Howard Headley. Item E, the revisions to the intergovernmental transfer of function and responsibilities with Macomb County, the Workforce Development Board.
I move that it be moved to the full board.
Support.
Discussion?
Yes, if I can. Just very quickly. This is a 2-year renewal of our contract with the Macomb County, Macomb St. Clair County Workforce Development Board. Our workforce development services will continue to come out of Macomb County. They do have offices here in downtown Port Huron. After the 2-year period is up, we will be required to consolidate our services with the entire Thumb region. I've been meeting with the Thumb region, elected officials, primarily county board members and administrators as well, to talk about this consolidation effort. Currently, there are 2 workforce development offices within the Thumb. There's one in Marlette and there's one in Flint. What the state has proposed is that the facility in Marlette, which we've got some history with, we're very familiar with the work that they do a great job. They would be the primary administrative services office for our entire region. Right now, they are in the process of merging the 2 organizations, developing their agreements that need to be approved by the Attorney General's office, signed off by the governor, and then also approved by all the local units of government, the county boards within their region. Right now, they have invited us to join in on those discussions for the development of the service agreement as well as their bylaws. I have been participating in those meetings. We've got a couple more meetings coming up the next couple of months, and we hope to finalize all of those documents by August. They are not sure at this point if we can join their consortium right now or not. The federal government passes money for this effort through the state, and if we join both the Macomb as well as this Thumb consortium, it might create some confusion with the federal government about where our dollars should be going. Our intention at this point is to remain with Macomb County. We're comfortable with them. This is a new effort within the region. We're not sure how it's going to work. They're not even sure how it's going to work. And our recommendation at this point is we continue to work with Macomb County for the next 2 years. However, I'd also like to recommend that we do everything we can to be included in the regional effort. If we're going to have to join that group in 2 years, it certainly would be in our best interest to be at the table as they're organizing themselves right now and ensure that our interests are being looked out for. Every community that was there has agreed to allow us at the table, even though we may not be allowed to sign any agreements. If we are interested, the state Workforce Development Office will send their director over here to explain all of this to you in a little bit more detail, how the merger is likely to occur in 2 years, and what our participation in the Thumb region would mean over the next 2 years. They also, if you would like, will reach out to the Attorney General's office to get them to advise us on whether or not we can actually sign the agreement that will be developed late this summer or early fall. That will allow us to participate in both efforts. So 2 questions before you tonight. Do you want someone from the State Workforce Office to come here and explain some of this to you, likely at your committee meeting in July? Secondly, would you like this organization that's growing out of the Thumb region to reach out to the Attorney General's office and ask them for an opinion on whether or not we can participate in both? They are looking for direction from you that I'll carry on to them. So, any questions?
Comments? Probably makes sense. Everything you say.
Both make sense
Sure,
to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we want to be at the table if that's the direction we're going to be in 2 years, whether we want to or not.
Carl?
And
Oh, I'm sorry, Howard.
obviously, I'd like to be there with a blessing of the Attorney General and legally be there, rather than be there under other pretenses.
Carl?
Two questions, Phil. Is this part of the governor's regional prosperity initiative?
Yes, it is. However, this is a little bigger than this. This is the federal government telling the state of Michigan, if you want workforce development dollars, this is the way you're going to do it. So what they have been able to do is negotiate an understanding that we can stay with Macomb County for the 2 more years while this new organization is being formed and proving themselves.
We've had sort of a parallel situation in economic development with the Governor's Regional Prosperity Initiative, and as it pertains to the next Michigan Development Corporation and SEMCOG, we've been participating in them both, and I think that's been successful. In this situation, though, we're going to need to pick one or the other to be associated with, or will they be picking?
I'm getting the impression that we won't have a choice if we want workforce development services, that if we decide not to go with the Thumb region, the funding that would be provided to support an office here would simply disappear. So we wouldn't have an office here.
I support both of your recommendations.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item F, the Retirement Board appointment.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move this retirement board appointment for final action. We have a very unusual situation here where is it Bernhardt? Yep. I'm serving on the retirement board representing you. Mr. Bernhardt resigned from this board because he had health problems, and all of the board members, I would say unanimously, were very sorry that he was resigning. They asked him to postpone his resignation. He said he couldn't, and he resigned, and we really haven't been able to find somebody else to replace him. I know that all of them, including myself, would be very pleased if he could be reappointed again now that his health improved, and so I would move that we give final action to the approval of.
I would support that motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item G, the Board of Commissioners Summer Travel Meeting Schedule. I want you to get your calendars out, boys. The June 18th meeting is fine. July 16th. July 16th. First question, is everybody going to be here on July 2nd?
Yes.
I am.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Okay, we got enough. So we're going to keep that meeting on July 2nd. Now, the second meeting we are going to be doing in St. Clair, we're going to be doing it at the Boat Harbor down there at the Municipal Marina. The question with the 16th, that is family night here in Port Huron. I think the EDA actually, if I'm not mistaken, has their meet and greet and a lot of other stuff. There's a ton of activities going on in Port Huron that evening. Probably doesn't work for us. So what I'm proposing to do is move it to July 9th. I know that's the travel time of the year. A lot of people aren't around. We do not have a lot of things on our agenda at that time. So 1 week on the meeting going to make a big difference. Who is not able to attend on July 9th?
I cannot.
Okay.
The 9th?
I cannot. No, I've got a vacation already scheduled. But
So everybody else can.
July 9th, sorry.
Yeah.
And
July gets
David will be
dicey.
back.
Yeah, Dave should be back. July gets, so what we'll do is we'll set that at, we'll do it on the 2nd, and then we'll move that July 16th to the 9th. We'll
July
keep-
9th for the full board meeting?
Yep, and then that's gonna be in St. Clair.
The second was gonna be here?
Second's here,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
And that's a normal scheduled meeting. I
Yeah,
just wasn't
okay.
sure with the 4th, if everybody was gonna be in attendance. July and August, the agendas are very thin, so I'm sure we can, if some people are traveling, so be it. Then we're gonna keep the August, and then we're gonna keep the September dates. Fair enough?
I would move that we approve the summer travel schedule as amended.
Support?
Discussion.
I have one, the September 17th one, I will not be at that one.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Moving on, item number B, the 2015 Michigan Blight Elimination Program application.
Chairman, I would move that it goes on to the full board.
Support.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Other Ways and Means matters, none to come before us. Information only, item A, the Tri-County Facilities Liquor Tax. Carrie, you want to talk about that?
I'm just reading about that.
The liquor tax distribution is something that the county receives every year, but this year in our notice, I just want to bring the board's attention to there is a statewide liquor tax of 4% that is set to expire this year. So the impact to our budget, we currently receive about $1.2 million from that distribution, and next year we're set to only receive about $600,000. We're working with Strategic Communications to see if there's any plans to extend that liquor tax. It was set to expire back in 2008, and then when the legislature refinanced the Cobo Arena facility, there was, part of the package was they did extend that liquor tax through 15, but that's gonna be quite a significant budget impact to us next year, so right now we're keeping an eye on it, but we're planning on it being gone. Of that money we receive, half of it goes to the health department and half of it goes to the general fund.
So general fund will take a $200,000 hit.
300.
300.
Yeah, and the health department will take a $300,000 reduction.
How much will the health department take ahead?
300.
300 to health?
100, yep.
300 in general.
Wow.
We're also working with Strategic Communications to see if they can get us some information on how the personal property tax reform is gonna roll out, when we're gonna receive our replacement revenue, and how much money we can expect to receive. We're still waiting to get information on that as well, but that's another item that's kinda up in the air for our 16 budget.
Any other questions for Carrie on this at all?
I just have a question. You mean there's actually two Howard Heidemans? Did you see who signed this report?
There's two of them. I've been staring at that for 10 and a half years.
I didn't think the state of Michigan was big enough for two Howard Heidemans.
I think he's missing an N or something though, isn't he, Howard?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Heidemann versus Heidemann.
All right. Thank you, Carrie. Receive and file.
So moved. Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
Adjournment.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be adjourned.
We hope you enjoyed this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. Your St. Clair County Commissioners broadcast these meetings on Comcast Local Access Channel 12 every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. If you have any questions on any part of this program, please feel free to contact your St. Clair County Board of Commissioners or staff. You can find their contact information, the meeting agenda, and videos of the meetings at www.stclaircounty.org.